Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome one and all once again to the Coach Dave Delta World Sprint Championship. My name is Ben Sapsford, aka Sapitron, and I am joined once again by the lovely Eero. How are you feeling, man? How are you feeling about tonight?
Hello. It's looking to be wet, which is always challenging, which is always interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of good fun. Now, we are going to jump very quickly trackside as we are coming up to the end of practice right as we speak. But first off, it's worth recognizing the winners of round 3, aka our rescheduled Fuji round. For those who weren't here last time, we did have a reschedule following technical issues the first time we tried to run Fuji. So, first off, looking at the hypercar podiums, that is going to go to Pocosi, along with Patush and Schliting in the second and third spots. So well done, congratulations for making it on the podium and continuing to prove yourself as fighting forces in this championship. We're also going to take a quick look at the LMGT3 podiums, and those are going to be firmly held by Timi Lehtonen with a great result and strong resolve throughout the entire round, with Nisbet and Alistair Ramsey taking the second and third. So really great results and really great performances from all. And looking at the standings, as we are soon headed to head, that's not really a sentence. We are soon making our way to qualifying. We have Pocosi, Bellucci and Schliting in our top 3 spots for the hypercar class, and then Robert Poor, Timi Lehtonen makes his way into second, and then Moffat into third place. Interesting change-ups for the championship here. How are you seeing the championship going at the moment, considering that we are in the second half now of the season?
Everything's still up in the air for a lot of drivers. They will have to do their best to secure the points. It's still all up for grabs.
Yeah, very much so. Couldn't agree more. Now, we are about to jump trackside as we are here at Imola, and as things are looking fairly overcast. It was wet in practice. We're going to see if that holds all the way through. Let's go trackside, see what our racers are capable of, and who is going to bring their A game here. So we're going to jump on with a couple of different drivers, going to see the perspectives, and once again, we do have our lovely double picture-in-picture, courtesy of Eero here. He's going to be keeping an eye on the GT3s, while our main perspective is going to be trained on the hypercars, and we'll chop and change as necessary, but everyone is trying to get out quick and get some runs in, as things are soon set to get very difficult in terms of controlling your car out there. Here we go, Monza. Not at Monza, Imola. We had Monza before
Imola,
already.
yes.
Freudian slip there. Freudian slip for a split second. But no, Imola, it's a track with a lot of character. Of course, it's steeped in motorsport history. The thing that stands out to me is the second sector. You dipping down, and we're on board with Schliting now as he's about to demonstrate. It's that almost sneaky double apex here. Very easy to run wide at the base. You've got to be very careful to avoid the gravel. Then you've got the chicane as you come back over the hill. So that's one of these sort of unique characteristics about this track that I got to say, I absolutely love. It's full of character. Acqua Minerale, Variante Alta, and then, of course, the Tamburello chicane, just to name a few areas of the circuit. But we're going to see
Absolutely.
drivers...
You can lose or gain so much time depending on how much you push the car through the chicane. Those sausage curbs can be very scary, but there's a lot of time on the table there.
So we're going to see we jump on board with Pocosi, of course, one of the front runners in the championship. We'll see how he handles this. Yeah, that windshield wiper is certainly putting the work in, as the drivers are not only having to manage the car and balance it carefully through these technical sections, but also having to deal with the grip levels. Now, a lot of drivers, safe to say, they're fairly well versed in dry running, and 90% of drivers train for dry running, but having the wet track, it introduces a whole new element.
It absolutely does. The grip level varies, and there could be a dry line forming depending on how many cars and how thick the rain is. And the more rubbered in parts of the track can become quite slippery in the rain, so the driving lines change during the rain times. And not a lot of people practice those.
Yeah, that's the other interesting thing. Is like as the rubber gets laid down on the track, it kind of has the opposite effect that you'd expect in the dry. De Vries goes with it first time, so 41.042. Are the other hypercars going to challenge that? So Pocosi coming up to the line now. 38's coming in from Grossi and Bellucci. So looking like very rapid machines there. Pocosi comes in with a 38.384. Holstenius is going to sweep in with 41.566. We also see Robert Poor in the LMGT3, 51.3s. He's going to be the first to jump across the line on the GT3 side. There's going to be Biddle coming in a few seconds behind, 54.2. Also have a couple of other runners in the hypercars now making their way and finishing their outlaps or coming very close to finishing their main line runs, their first runs here. As we'll see more and more times now making their way across and through. See Patouche going forward. It's going to be Ramsey going into second for the GT3's 52.9. We've also got a couple of other hypercars. So Bouquet just came into fourth position. That is in the Gazoo Racing GRO 10. The Niesbet 40. And Poor in your top three positions. Biddle being pushed down to fifth after a 54.2 has quickly been shown not quite to be on the pace that's needed. Kerner in the hypers goes a 44.0. Butts in just coming across the line now. That's going to be a 40.532. So just shy of the top five. Not quite getting that impact he was maybe hoping for. A few more cars now making their way through. See Lettonen in second here.
Almost breaking into the 51s. Well done, sir.
Yeah, but very impressive, very close here. As already, even just 5 minutes into the session, the times are very close. The times are quite dense. And they are going to be certainly some impressive initial runs. Mitchell Diaz, 40.4. That's going to be 7th place in the hypers. We'll see soon. Stijink is into 7th, 55.5. Few more GT3s. So we have 9 GT3s and 13 hypercars joining us this evening. Seeing a few different faces and some omissions in the roster, unfortunately. So not everyone can make it tonight, it seems. But here we go. Here's Patouche. He goes into 6th. So just a couple of tenths away from Schlichting and breaking into the top 5. Unfortunate run for him there. It's not quite what he needed. Let's see. Here comes Borgso in the Alpine. Coming up to the line. What's he able to muster? It's a 44.9. That is going to be at the back of the order. Leaves just Baldinini, last runner on the course. Now, we saw him a little bit in practice, and he doesn't seem to be 100% confident in that Porsche tonight. So hopefully he'll be able to get the grip down. You can see he's taking slightly wider apexes. Doesn't really want to chance it with the sausage curbs and with the more slick surfaces of the track. Although I do like how you can see the plumes, almost as the wake of the car from those powerful diffusers.
Amount of water these things throw up is immense.
And I've turned my settings down. And even now it's putting out quite a, not a smoke screen, although you can misconstrue it as one. Bornanini into 11th, meaning that nearly everyone has set a time in the field. Only drivers yet to set a time are Borgson and Uhilau in the GT3s. I think both of them are, funnily enough, both of them in the Porsches. So, not sure if there's a coinky-dink, a bit of a coincidence there.
Could be. I do believe we have Sebastian just coming over the line now, and he should be setting a lap.
Yeah, so he's now going to be starting his lap out here.
All right, yes, that was his out lap. There we go. Yes, I do have information, and I am able to read it.
Alright, well, you've got the hypercars full times on the board, as you can see, spread of about 6.5 seconds, so that's only going to come down as more drivers get acclimatized to the wet running and qualifying. We see Grossi right here having to abandon his run. He goes a little bit too deep in Aqua Minerale and touches onto the gravel. Last thing that he wants to be doing So we'll see what the other drivers can do in lieu of that mistake. Bouquet starting up a lap here, so he makes his way through Villeneuve chicane and into Tosa here at turn 7. Right down on the brakes, all the way down to first gear for this corner, especially in the wet. You need to be careful getting back on that throttle. See Uhlilal and Borgerson both on runs now, as well as checking around the field. You know, sticking on board with Bouquet now. He's been a solid runner, he's been a solid contender, and he's shown his pace time to time. Question is, will he be able to muster that pace in a race situation alongside qualifying? Showings have been promising. But of course, real test is when we get trackside. Ooh, a little bit of a skate on the rear tyres as he tries to get that thing slowed down. A little bit of skittishness on the rear axle there. It's tough to keep these things under control.
It is.
You can tell Bouquet is pushing it on the limit just by the amount of times that rear axle has snapped in the past 40 seconds, really.
Yes, yes.
Well, Bouquet coming up to line. We're just 0.3 of a second is all he needs. Looks like he was not able to get it this time round. He's about half a second down. So not quite the run that he needed there. So check in the full GT3 board as well. Switch that one over. You can see 9 GT3s. We did have Borgerson setting a time, and that is going to be a strong P6 here. So 54.0, just ahead of Jordan Biddle. We'll see if the other times in the GT3 cohort can come down. Uhlilal is currently in progress of a lap. Not sure where he currently is. I think he's just finishing.
About to cross the line.
Oh, very nice. Where is he going to come? It's 56.426. So that is going to be P9. But he's got time on the boards, and he can take some safety in that. Sometimes it is just about having that insurance. And now maybe with the last couple of minutes, he is able to push a little bit harder for this next one.
Yeah, having some idea of the grip levels on track. I would imagine those to be quite low currently.
Yeah, so grip levels are resoundingly low. It is nice and wet out there. But we'll see in full everyone trying to make the most of the situation. So this is going to be now on board with Patouche, currently sat in 6th place. Everyone in the hypercar class has either gone into the pits or is currently on their outlap. I think Butson's the only exception as he pushes his way. You can see rotates the car as much as he can without getting the rear out.
It is a tricky bit of balancing that to do.
Yeah, I feel like you also have to kind of dial in your car differently, wet versus dry, because in the wet, you want understeer. You kind of want understeer a lot more. You need a bit more stable platform that you can have confidence in.
Yes, probably dial up the TC a bit. And maybe even add more wing.
Yeah, dial up TC, more aggressive on the wing angle, because you just need more grip. More grip that you can get, the better, the more confident you have of a platform. Compare that to dry, where you can maybe afford to take a few ticks off the wing, or you can run less TC, and you want that front end to be darty so you can really angle yourself into corners and get on the power earlier. It's an interesting shift, but as we go through, next and final round of cars now going into set times. We're on board with Butson. Can he get something fresh on the boards here? 40.5 currently stands, and I think that is where he's going to stay. No improvement.
Uhlilal improved a bit, 154.836, and he's in the 8th position currently.
Nice, so that's about a second and a half, I think.
Definitely getting used to the track a bit more now.
Yeah, this serves just as much as time for the drivers to acclimatise to wet weather running. But we can see the top 5 from each group here. So Pocosi is going to lead for the hypercars in terms of qualifying, followed by Bellucci, Grossi, Bouquet, and Schlichting to make your top 5. Only spread by 0.8 of a second. Meanwhile, in the LMGT3s, you have Robert Poor, followed by Timi Letonen and Ian Niesbet to come podium, followed closely by Alistair Ramsey and Jordan Forte. About 1.4 seconds between the GT3s. Bit more of a spread. You've got a bit more of a spread in the top 5, but then you have more of a spread in the hypercars overall. 5.5 seconds between the hypercars compared to 3.5 for the GT3s.
But it's not going to be about just how fast you can lap the track. You will have to navigate traffic in such difficult conditions, and that will be a true test of skill for our drivers.
Yeah, I wonder if it stands to reason that some of the drivers have deliberately gone away from tunes that give them peak pace, like maybe adjusted their car somewhat to be more stable rather than being fast, because, as you said, the traffic is going to be an issue. And in the wet especially, you're going to be having to move and potentially move out and around other cars. If you can't reliably put your car where you want it to go, that's going to lose you more time than if you're, say, extracting peak pace but only every 5 or 6 laps.
Yeah, probably not worth the risk.
Yes, the risk and reward.
These conditions, yes.
And that balancing act is why we enjoy it so much. 20 seconds left, though. Final chances for a lot of drivers. Top 5 in the hypers have all remained in the pits. They will not be going again. So this is going to be really crunch time for those who remain out still. Like Rumble with Mitchell Diaz. This could be a chance for him to put a bit of distance on the board, because just 0.3 of a second will push him up past Henrik de Vries. Although it looks like he's abandoning. He's not going to commit to this run. Butson has another chance to improve as well. Bordenini, Kerner. And then on the GT3 side, you see a lot of the runners heading into the pit lanes. Qualifying has officially come to an end. Final runs only. The Borgerson and Stijink only GT3s remaining out on track. And I think Kerner's the only hypercar now, as everyone else has pitted in. Oh, it goes a bit too deep there. There's all hypercars having completed their runs. Bergerson and Stijink out on the track still.
Stijink coming to the final corners now.
Rumble with
We'll
Bergerson on the main line. See what Bergerson has in store. See Stijink coming up to the line now. Let's see what he can do. 54.843 to beat. Unfortunately, no improvement. He's going to remain in P9. Here we stand on board with Bergerson. Last car on the field. Surely running up close to time here as things do get underway.
That's a little bit wide.
Just a little bit wide there. It's a rough day. Rough day at the office there for Bergerson. And that is going to be time. So, we will be soon coming up to the starting order. But, Hiro, what did you make of that qualifying?
We can certainly see that some of the drivers are struggling a bit in the wet, trying to gain the grip and trying to find the optimum way to get on the throttle in these slippy conditions.
Teams and drivers go to the grid for a race start.
And there you go, there's the announcement. So, let's get the starting order up on your screens right now. Let's take it one by one. Pocosi and Bellucci, the number 19 and 63 Lamborghinis, are going to be your first row. Closely followed by Alessandro Grossi and Matteo Bouquet in the Ferrari and Toyota. Schlichting and Patush make your 5th and 6th entries here in the Ferraris as well, the 499Ps, followed by the Cadillac and the Porsche of Henrik de Vries and Mitchell Diaz. Row 5 is going to comprise of Marvin Butson and Matteo Bordenini in the Ferrari and the Porsche, respectively. And row 6 is going to be included with Max Holstenius and Mark Ferdinand Kerner in the Porsche and the Peugeot, of all things. Closing out your hypercar grid is Alexander Borgso with the 35 Alpine, and then the Ferrari of Robert Poor. Lessenen and Niesbet make second and third for the GT3s as we get into row 7, or say row 8, sorry. Row 9, Ramsey and Forte in the Aston and the BMW. Bergersen and Biddle in row 10 here, so that's going to be 6th and 7th. The Porsche and the Mustang, with Uhilal and Stejink completing your order to 21st and 22nd, but 8th and 9th in the grid with the Porsche and the BMW. But there we go, folks.
Formation lap has started.
Formation lap is underway here. Let's see what these drivers have in store for us all.
It does not seem to be raining anymore.
Yeah, that is a curious thing to note as well. It's not actually raining. So, might be a sign that the conditions will improve as the race gets started. Time will only tell, but everyone's lining up now. All lining up and all getting themselves ready for the race. Remember, we know the rules. We've been around here enough times here in the World Sprint Championship. Conserve that energy, got to keep it in the lines, keep it fair on track.
Green flag.
They say 60 minutes, track is hot, away we go, and they are off immediately. Great push here from the likes of Bellucci and Picosi. They're both trying to push each other to the ragged edge of the track and of their driving ability. You can see 2-3 wide as chaos is going to quickly erupt in the mid-pack of the hypercars. You can see all contact. That is going to be one of the Porsches off. That's Mitchell Diaz taking a bit of a bump on the side, and he's going to be taking the excursion to the back of the order. We have Schlichting and Patush who have started from the pit lane, so not sure what's happened there. They are going to be far down the order and already having to deal with traffic issues. Luckily, with the track drying up, that is going to give them a bit of a saving grace in this whole ordeal. Hendrik de Vries and Marvin Butson are going to challenge each other as well, as the GT3s are having just as much action further down.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a good day for the hypercar stuck in this traffic. GT3 is all battling for position, and hypercar trying to get through on first lap.
So there's Schlichting already trying to get his way through the GT3s. He knows he can't stay behind them for long, or the others will get away. Patush is having much of the same problems. You can see that's the other Ferrari piping up alongside, heading into the chicane there, holds the inside. Oh, looks like Uhilal has gone off to the side, however, and he's going to be taking a bit of a trip downstream to the back of the pack, unfortunately. I'm not sure whether there was contact with the hypercar or whether that was just a bit of lift-off oversteer. Tough to tell. Schlichting is going to now be up as Kerner has taken an excursion on the penultimate corner, has gone into the gravel, and is now mingling in with the GT3s, much to Patush's dismay. Meanwhile, Picosi, Bellucci, they're going to hold first and second, and just trying to make the most of the gapping in the order. So you can see Butsin and Bouquet are 4th and 5th right now. Bordanini tailing off by a little bit. Diaz is trying to run a recovery drive here, as from that early collision he's now managed to get his way past Holstenius and is now looking to get past Borgso in the same motion. Let's see how he does. Brief clip off the side for Borgso there. Oh no, Borgso has had a major off. In fact, he's completely in the tyre wall. And he's struggling to get that car back up onto the field.
Not gone well for him, unfortunate.
Local yellow's coming out as he's quickly being dropped down the order. You see Kerner, meanwhile, has also had another off. Things struggling to get that car turned in and rotated, as he's consistently running wide of a lot of these corners. I mean, might there also be an indication of dirty tyres, damage? I'm not really sure what to read into this era, I'll be honest.
Yes, quite a lot to take in. Early stages yet, and a lot of going on already.
Struggling to get a read on exactly what's going on with Kerner's car, but we'll of course keep tabs on it and keep you all posted. Meanwhile, at the front, things are looking very interesting indeed, both for the GT3 crowd and for the hypercars in the same breath. We've got Alistair Ramsey, who is on the back of Team Lettinen for the lead of GT3s at the same time as we have the fighting towards the sharp end of hypercars, jumping aboard with the helicopter. Butson is on the back of Bellucci and he's challenging quite intensely. He's not letting up for a split second in terms of that pressure. To the point you can see pretty much constantly those rear brakes on the Ferrari are glowing red hot. He's really pushing that car and driving it to the max.
We have Per and Forthy having a bit of battle for the third position here. Currently held by Jordan Forthy. Ramsey is right on Timi Lehtonen's bumper up at the front. And we got Biddle chasing down Nisbet in the battle of the Mustangs.
Well, we do have Borgso now headed into the pits. I think he made a bit of an impact with the tyre wall, so opting to go into the pits might be a good move for him while he's broken away from the course and from the pack. So Kerner is also now back on to the hypercar group, so he's made his way out of the purgatory that is the GT3s for himself, but continues to struggle with getting his car gripped up and getting his car onto the corners properly. I really do think that he has knackered those tyres. Say too many off tracks and lockups, and he's put himself in
a possibility.
He's definitely put himself in a tight spot, and he's not having a good time. Meanwhile, we have Bellucci, who is currently trying to play chaser, as he's got two Ferraris now ahead of him. He managed to get overtaken not only by Grossi but Butson as well. So I wonder what is going through Bellucci's head right now, as he's currently switched positions quite aggressively so. He's certainly going to have to make up some substantial time. You can see Grossi and Butson both challenging each other for space through Aqua Minerale, going for different lines. A little bit faster on the exit for Butson there, trying to make up for a bit of the gap. Gets very close on the braking there. Got to be careful of the dirty air and a little bit of aero wash as well. Keep the car on the straight and narrow. You don't want to go too aggressively. Remember, the track is still not in ideal conditions. The temps are not going to be there where you'd hope they'd be.
Yeah, the grip levels definitely aren't where drivers would want them to be yet. But it is constantly drying a bit more and more.
Eventually we'll get to that happy medium, but here we go. Here is going to be Butson going side by side with the other Ferrari. This is going to be a challenge on Grossi here. Goes to the inside, through into the first corner. Well, technically the second corner, but I look at it like I do the Red Bull Ring. Turn 2 doesn't really count, and neither does turn 1 here at Imola. It's a light curve. It's not really a corner. But that's just me. Call it a hot take if you wish.
I think it makes sense. If you don't have to lift or press brakes, it's not a proper corner then.
I say at that point, just take the peak line, cross the grass, and you don't need to brake. Braking is optional, but not for these guys. I say Uhilal coming up to the back, just switched over on the main cam, as he's actually flashing Biddle here. He's flashing as if to say, "Let me go by. I'm very quickly closing in. You don't want to make this fight harder for yourself."
He has definitely pushed up from the bottom of the pack where he got thrown in at the start of the race.
Communication.
We will see if Biddle gives in. Side by side. Oh, he's way too fast into that. I do not believe that is a legitimate overtake he has just done there.
I think he'll have to relinquish position, otherwise face the ire of the stewards. Let's see.
And LMU should have automated systems that would tell the driver to give the place back if they have overtaken like that, I believe.
We'll see what he does, either way. So, if not, on the track, then we'll certainly see. I imagine the stewards are going to be having a bit of a look at that one. We got Butts in on the back of Pocosi and really challenging to the left, to the right. Take it back now, y'all. And heading into the next chicane. Villeneuve here. It's going to be Butts in continuing to put serious pressure on the Lamborghini. Heading now into Tosa. Turn 7 here. He's going to stick it to the outside. A little bit of quarters contact, but not quite enough to shake the current leader of the championship, Pocosi, in the number 19. Butson goes for another challenge, though. He's not going to let this one slide yet. Now into Piratella on the narrow on the inside, looking absolutely glued to the road in that Ferrari. Can he confirm this, though? He's still got Pocosi on the back foot, but he's not going to be out of the woods just yet. He threw Aqua Minerale. Nicely done, cleanly held. Butson is looking absolutely on fire. This pace, seemingly come out of nowhere, has made his car come alive in these last couple of laps, and he's gone from, say, middling in the race to all of a sudden leading and building substantial margins.
Yeah, impressive showing.
I would also like to apologise to those watching at home. I appreciate if anyone wants to tune out now following that terrible joke. I completely understand. But we check through now. We see a little bit of gravel getting kicked up. Not sure by who. Baldanini on the back of Bouquet, though. So we'll see if these two go for a bit of a challenge. Go for a bit of a chase on each other. There's about half a second between the Porsche and the Toyota right now.
We also have a three-way developing on the track. Respect for the Uhilal. Uhilal giving us a bit of blinking lights there.
I'm certainly a fan of that in that main beamstalk.
Uh-huh.
We go a little bit of a
Right
mistake.
on the back bumper of that BMW. We'll see if he can get it around.
Really challenging there quite aggressively. Baldanini capitalised on a mistake on Bouquet. Managed to get himself up into P5. Positions have quickly flipped. Got Olstenius in a similar boat on the back of Patouche here. Remember, all of the fighting that goes on behind and with the other cars is going to swiftly result in the other racers catching up. So you don't want to spend too much time fighting. You're much better off challenging and holding on to the position you have rather than going too aggressive.
Oh no, Jordan Fortis lost it. Smacked the wall a bit there. I think he got the right side tires on the outside of the curb there on the gravel, and that was that. Unfortunate for him.
Either way, looking a little bit rough. Now, luckily, he's out of the way of the track surface, but still, he's completely marooned there. He's not going to have an easy time, and certainly not going to have any fun making up for said lost time. Hopefully, he'll be able to find a bit more of an on-track pocket. Schleeting on the back of Diaz now. See, he goes for a brief challenge into the Tamburello chicane. Doesn't quite get the chance to make a foothold. Briefly
I think we have a DNF for this in the box.
Yeah, Forte is in the box there, so we'll see if that confirms into a DNF. Hopefully not. Never really want to see a DNF, but you can understand it sometimes.
I don't think you can teleport back to the pits in LMU. I think that's it for him, sadly. Maybe he got the car totally beached on the gravel there and could not continue.
It looks like he's coming out, though.
Oh, is he?
He is coming out. Yeah, he's making his way out the pit lane as we speak. I think we might be
Good
okay.
man, there we go.
Stop, man. Keep it going.
Yeah, pardon me, I was giving out totally false information right there then.
How
But
dare
which
you.
I believed at the time to be right. I believed at the time to be not wrong, but apparently I was. There we go then.
Oh, we're just on board with Borg, so he hits a couple of the signage posts on the side, but losing control as he makes his way through into the Villeneuve chicane. And I don't know if he's stuck in the gravel yet. It doesn't seem to be moving. Kerner's also having a bit of an off-track excursion, coming out this time of Piratella. So taking, once again, a bit too much on the side of the course. And today, I really got to say, I think Kerner might be good to look at that car, maybe look at if he's got damage or something, because it's...
Yes, not great currently.
Yeah, he seems to have a bit better of a handle on things, but the other sort of question mark that I want to pose is it looks like he's quite aggressive on his input, so like I've seen in previous, could he be like trying to sort of balance the edge on controller? No, quite tough to tell.
Yeah,
I think he's just locking up a lot and say these inputs. I don't know. I may be talking hot air and be sitting here with a tinfoil hat for all I know.
Let us know in the chat if you know what's up.
I feel like he's like a little bit aggressive on inputs at times, which makes me think that's typically indicative of drivers working hard, but ultimately on a different control surface. Now, we do have a confirmation of a first DNF of the session. This is going to be Borgso. So Borgso in the Alpine has retired out of the session following that off we saw just heading through into Villeneuve chicane. And we also have a couple of drivers who have pitted in by this point. So Pocosi is headed into the pits, and that's why he currently sits in P8 in the order. We'll see that paid back later on, but as things currently stand, Buxton is leading, and by a substantial margin, as many others at the sharp end of the field have gone on for a little bit less. Ooh, it was a little bit rough there. That's Baldanini going off into the grass and the gravel. That thing back under control, buddy. Come on. There you go. Keep it nice and balanced. There you go. Recomposes himself for Aqua Minerale. I haven't had a chance to go too much into the characteristics specifically of these cars, but I'm sure all of them have their individual strengths and weaknesses. Have you had much chance to sort of review the Porsche?
I think the current BOP for the GT3 Porsche does not quite favor it. It's a bit heavy, it's a bit slow, it turns lovely and so, but it's not quite there right now. Maybe the BOP will be changed, hopefully, at some point.
Yeah, I know the BOP can be a bit in flux with this game in particular.
Absolutely, and it will evolve, and they will eventually, hopefully, get the balance correct. I've also driven the BMW quite a bit, and I've spent some time in the Ford Mustang, which is a lovely big boat that goes fast.
Yeah, I think the general characteristic with the Mustang is, like, it's a point and shoot. It doesn't always get the rotation, but when you can sort of lock it in and push it to speeds, it is a rocket. Oh, no, that's a sideways car. That is a sideways car. Trying to find exactly who that is. I believe that is Mitchell Diaz. Yes. Sorry to cut you off, mate. He's just gone. He's actually DNF'd. He's spun. He is spun out in Tosa. And he has gone back to the pits and DNF'd. So 40 is also DNF'd, unfortunately. So did briefly go back on track, but that was not something that stayed. Meaning that we have had 3 DNFs in the session. That's going to bring us down to 19 total drivers.
We got Stitching in the pits. Maybe he's taking a little pit stop. Bit of a different strategy than the other drivers.
Yeah, so that is going to be an interesting one to monitor. So we've already had a couple of drivers head into the pits on both sides of the aisle at Hyper and GT3, but Who will be next to head into the pits? I do wonder. Taking a quick look at our standings board. Let's take a look at the top 5 from each. So Butsin is lead here in the hypercars, with Letonen being the current leader, having overtaken Robert Poor and pulling out a little bit of a gap. Whereas we go into the next phase of the race. About 20 minutes in, that is going to mean most drivers have found their flow, and the focus now shifts away from wheel-to-wheel combat in favour of strategizing, managing your car, managing your energy in the case of the hypers, and making sure that you'll be able to bring it home. And it's very easy to sometimes under or overestimate the fuel and energy usage of these cars. There have been times where drivers have gone very close to the line.
Right yesterday I ran out in a race because I miscalculated the amount of laps we were gonna do by 1. So I ran out of fuel half a lap before the race. It comes down to very, very small margins sometimes.
Yeah, it really is the fine margins. Jeez, ouch. I wasn't even driving, and I felt that one personally. One lap, brutal, absolutely brutal there, mate. Goes to show the tightrope, though, that everyone on track here, GT3 and Hypercar alike, is having to walk. So if not the energy management, like we can see at least with the Hypercars, then certainly the fuel and say also taking care of your tires, not scrubbing them too much, not flat spotting them through locking up. Careful balancing act.
Alistair Ramsey going into the pits.
So you see there Ramsey hitting in. And gaps starting to form for sure. Seeing quite large gaps forming across the field. So now we're seeing, more than anything else, we're seeing drivers who are converging on each other from different groups and different laps, as opposed to battles directly head on.
Jordan Beadle is pitting in.
Just on board with Bellucci here, because one of the leaders early on in the race, and as they've gone into the pits much earlier, I think, than the others, as it means to potentially, or in the hopes of undercutting the competition. I think that's quite high on his priority list here. Doesn't want to have to fight as much on track.
Yes, if you don't want to fight it on track, you need to use the strategy options available to you to gain the time that you need. You sometimes see very big brain movements with people's race strategies, especially in the longer races. And it is quite an interesting part of the sport, I would say.
Yeah, it certainly adds a new dimension, a bit of a new element to things. Now, a bit of an update. Yeah. We did get a semi-confirmation that Kerner is on a wheel, like many of the other drivers. So, just to put that one to rest and stop me sort of spouting silly things. Now, I am going to take a brief intermission here, but I am going to pass you over to, as we will periodically change the camera over on the main line. I'm going to hand you over to Eero, who is going to take the lead on things for the next couple of minutes while I have to deal with a bit of a scenario here. But you're in safe hands, folks. I'll be right back.
I will take care of you, do not worry, people. Field has calmed down a bit. There are no battles going on, close battles in the GT3 field currently. Some drivers have taken the pit stops, others are yet to do so, and we are closing in on the halfway mark of the race soon. Some drivers might need to change the tires if they slid or teared them up a bit, and that will add time to the pit stop as well. We will see how people's strategies will pay off here. Tim Lehtonen in the pits now. Robert Per inheriting the lead position of the race. Per, of course, yet to pit. Uhilal in the second position, also yet to pit. We can also see some hypercars coming into the pits right now. Nisbet pitting in. Red has been on a quite the race today. He's been very aggressive, very strongly pushing forward. We will see if it pays off for him. The stewards might have something to say about the off-track overtake earlier there.
Yeah.
Lehtonen.
We're back. Thank you, Eero.
Lehtonen is coming out of the pits. No worries, Ben, and welcome back.
Yeah, well, say carried the stream with poise. Already seeing the positive comments. So thank you very much for covering during that sort of intermission.
No worries, man.
Looks like I came back at a good time. We had a lot of people jumping into the pits. We had a few change-ups, and we literally just came back to Pocosi challenging against De Vries for what is now the lead of the race. So Pocosi has successfully undercut, as he intended, the field here, and done a great job of managing the situation, exactly like you were saying. Hold and fight, rather than fighting, going for the more strategic option, dodging the fight and playing for time.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different game than with wheel racing. You have to calculate relative times and fuel amounts and stuff in your head while you're doing this, which also takes quite a bit of concentration, but sometimes it pays off, and this time it looks it has.
Lots of different moments, lots of different calculations that you have to have. So 19 drivers, 8 GT3s, 11 hypercars. Pocosi leads in hyper, and Uhilal is actually technically ahead here, as they're going to be a latent stopper, but Lehtonen, I think, could be on track to quickly take that back as he's rounding the final corner here and quickly snapping up the time. So I think he'll be set
I do
to
believe
retake that
Lehtonen
spot.
will retake the lead spot.
The hypercar leader, Pocosi, swapping positions and passing him by here. I wonder what's going to happen to Grossi and Kerner, as they're currently sat about a lap behind here. I do wonder what is going to be made of them and how their race is going to go. We also have a battle of the Porsches in the hypercars with Hostenius on the back of Baldanini.
GT3 field quite spread out right now. Even the closest cars are still 6 seconds apart currently. How's it looking for the hypercars, Ben?
I would say looking a little bit shaky for some. Say Baldanini and Hostenius nearly comes together, and one of them heading off into the gravel. But overall, hypercars, they were quite spread out. They've now somewhat converged again, as many of them have headed into the pits at least once. We're seeing Bellucci right on the back of Hendrik de Vries right now. Cadillac's doing well to hold, but Bellucci just gets the better exit out of Variante Alta. And then through the double apex there is Ravazza. He's going to hold and take a nice clean line. You see the track has well and truly dried up now, so a lot of the dry lines and driving styles associated is now going to be back in fashion. The rain is well and truly gone.
It has. bit of a shame, really. I was quite looking forward to multi-class racing in the rain. That would have been a bit more chaotic, maybe, but interesting. But the drivers will probably be happy about getting to race on a dry track.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's more comfortable on a dry track, but come on, think of the driving, think of the drama. And
yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, we did see most of the rain come down in practice and some of it in qualifying. It was still quite a wet track. Unfortunately, the rain has fully subsided for race trim. So whether that was sort of calculated by the drivers or not is going to be back on terra firma. And I like to think that wet weather running introduces that, I don't want to say chaotic element, because that's not really the right word, but certainly an element.
Additional challenge.
Challenge, that's it. Challenge, unpredictability, and certainly proves to equalize some otherwise standout drivers into more in line with the others. Gives some chance for other drivers to show their talent, and you never know. You might have drivers that flourish in the rain compared to their dry performances. Chance to see that.
Some cars also do. So it's an interesting variable, certainly.
You actually tend to find that the heavier cars, or ones equipped with a bit more sort of ballast as part of BOP, they tend to fare better in the wet conditions, just because, well, they have more weight to push into the road and displace the water, if nothing else. Always found that heavier cars are a bit better.
A bit less affected by a slight slip of the tires, because there's more mass for the inertia to work with, and
So
I agree with you there.
You've physically got more car pushing you into the road.
Yeah.
Especially with the wet not reaching as high a speed as normal, means the aero isn't going to do as much of the heavy lifting.
Ramsey slowly reeling in his bed. For fourth place. The Mustang versus Mustang battle, which has been going on for, in one way or the other, for most of the race. We will see how they get on.
Me, I'm always a fan of the, the sort of battles that draw themselves out over multiple laps. I think it's a test of mental fortitude as well. It's one thing to have a squabble resolves itself over the course of half a lap. It's another entirely to see you go toe-to-toe, lap after lap, slowly read the other opponent and start to try and break their defense down and try and exploit every opportunity you can. It's like this change in mindset, that approach.
The racing is most interesting when the opponent you are racing with is on similar pace, so you have to figure out which corners he is slower than you and which corners he is faster than you, and you have the race time to do it and exploit that knowledge, and the other driver is also trying to do the same thing to you. That's where the mind game of racing comes into the play best, for me at least.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's about finding the gaps in the armor, as it were. You spend enough time studying it, you're bound to find a weakness, and once you find it, you've got to put everything into it. At the same time, again, coming back to that risk and reward dynamic, you put too much into an attack and it doesn't work out, you have potentially burnt yourself out for 2-3 laps while you recover your position.
Yep, it's certainly a game of wits as well as reactions and driving ability as well. And Ramsey has caught up to Nisbet. Now he has to get past Nisbet.
Yeah, the challenge will come in, and it will have a bit of a curveball coming through before long, in the form of a certain Lamborghini hypercar quickly closing in on the duo. Here is Percy right through Aqua Minerale is going to slot himself between the two. Is that going to deter either of them from fighting, though? Actually, no. The thing is,
Yeah,
been
they are
fairly
still at it.
clean. Fairly cleanly managed. So usually when you see a scenario like that, it tends to drop the trailing GT3 by a few tenths, but no such occurrence. Ramsey is still hot on heels.
Yeah, well done to him. That Mustang of Nisbet is not getting any breathing room.
There's a war of attrition now. So how long is Nisbet going to be holding up before Ramsey eventually goes for the send? Or they potentially
Oh,
get
another hypercar in the mix.
a bit of a launch. I think, yeah, that's going to be Butson right there. He's making his way through quickly. Still about half a second splitting the two. Keeping things fairly balanced here. Quickly drawing closer.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
What a
Ramsey
move.
has taken the inside line, made the move, made it stick.
Beautiful move.
Well done. That was clean.
Very nice indeed. Yeah, I was watching your screen for that, for the whole thing. Got to be honest. I'd say I completely tuned out of the main screen. I was just watching yours and wanted to see exactly what happened there.
Nice clean racing. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, beautiful run there from Ramsey. Just holds a line, keeps it clean away from his opponent. And now he's got that break to run clean, and he's already gained about a second and a half.
Yep, and now there's more hypercars in the mix. That's gonna help out Ramsey here, I think.
Yeah, let's see what he's got to show. Just quickly jumping on board with Schlichting as he's on his crusade currently to catch up to Holstenius. About a second between the two. He's also running fairly low on energy, so he's going to have to be careful of what he does here next. Pocosi into the pits now for the second time. I wonder, is this typically a two-stopper for GT3?
With the fuel consumption we have, I still don't think it's a two-stopper. It should be able to, that GT3 should be able to do the whole race with one pit stop, I think. Do not take this as gospel, I am not sure.
Well, I guess we'll find out in due time. We're on board with Schlichting for a second there. Unfortunately, getting caught on the back of one of the Mustangs. I do believe, yes, that was Jordan Biddle right there. So, getting a bit stuck and losing about a second to his chase on Holstenius. But still, acting with poise, keeping that nice and clean, even though he got stuck right out into Rivarza, the final corners, where he did have Holstenius right in his sights. And he's actually quickly made up a lot of that time again. So all is not in vain. All is not lost.
Auction into the beach.
Bulgson's in, Bellucci is in as well. Pocosi has made his way out and he's currently 8th position in the order.
Lehtonen still leading for the GT3 side, and he has got almost 20-second interval gap between him and Robert Burr. Pressure running again from Lehtonen. He's been doing quite well in this championship for himself.
I think right now Lehtonen is just the epitome of run your own race. He's found his own space and he's relatively undisturbed in his sort of charge to gain more and more time each lap.
It's where you want to be, really. No one to bother you, no one to battle. No one to show their face in the rear view mirror to throw you a game off. Just do your laps.
See, and that also comes to fruition for the likes of Bellucci here. So just coming out the pitch, Schlitting has also gone in himself. So that will mean he does go earlier than the others. I can see on your screen, I think, is that Ramsey and Uyalal there?
Yes, they are. Ramsey's been on an absolute charge and he's called up right to radar in the short couple of minutes since we last took a look at him. Man's really doing the driving today.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked like a driver on a mission. We saw this last round as well. He
did, yes.
Found some insane momentum and just was able to charge his way forward right to the front end. But I think he's a driver that thrives in race trim.
Could be, could be.
Quickly jumping on board with Bouquet on the hypercar side, as he now stands to gain from Schlitting's early pit stop. Now got 1.8 seconds between him and Holstenius. Nothing stands between. If anything, it only could serve to gain, as there could be GT3 traffic coming up soon to put a dent in that gap.
Two tenths away. Not close enough to make a move yet. But he's right on the rear bumper of that Porsche.
Let's see, Bouquet has made up masses of time. Holstenius, I think, briefly got stuck behind Nisbet's Mustang there. So he's managed to pull himself within about 1.1 seconds. About a second, he's floating on that line. Baldanini was briefly looking to challenge on Picosi as well, but that hasn't quite happened in the way he'd like.
Side by side.
Ooh.
And he's done it.
Oh, beautiful.
Ramsey is past Uhilal. Same spot as he did Nisbet in. And out come the blinkers again. He's not happy about it. Radar. Some people are faster than you. Don't blink at everyone.
He's a fan of the blinkers. There we go. I think if he's not happy about that, he's certainly not going to be happy about the different types of visitors that he's now seeing through. This is going to be the Porsche and the Toyota both sweeping past as they go through the Tamburello chicane and now onto Villeneuve. Both of them trying to get a clean break from the GT3s, disturb each other as little as possible. Like having the fast lane and the slow lane. You don't really want to mingle. You want to stay as much to yourselves as possible because it's not good for either party, and they both know this. Well, 19 drivers and just under 18 minutes now as we go through. Bouquet coming very close to the back. Holstenius here. This could be a challenge that he serves up on a silver platter by the start of next lap. Just needs to keep that proximity here going. Careful of the dirty air as we head into Rebutta. Go down on the brakes. It's all going to be in the exit. A little bit of a rough exit for Bouquet there. He struggles to get the car rotated. Even a little bit of wind noise. Attention to detail, wow. I've only just noticed that, so you actually get the wind noise as you go faster. Such a tiny thing. It seems inconsequential, but
every little bit adds up.
I don't want to sound too corny, but the immersion. the
Yeah,
immersion. I know it's very cliche to say that, but it really does add that extra level of detail, as you said.
Yeah.
Go, Bouquet. Both of them making quick rounds. I believe that was no, that was not Lettonen. One of the other Ferraris, my mistake. But both of them quickly running around here. Still hot on the heels of each other.
Jordan and Bill just pitting in.
Quick check on the leaders as well. So Butsin currently leads, but I imagine he'll be able to pit in soon, and that will change. Patush, Holstenius, Bouquet, and Pocosi. Complete your 5. But here we go. This is actually going to be Bouquet heading into the pits now. So Holstenius is going to get a clean run, as he is going to go for a little bit longer. But
Crackling staging also into the pits.
you see the energy levels varying between the cars as well. There's Bouquet's,
Yeah, that's where the strategy difference comes in.
yeah, it's a full display right now. You see that Butsin, Patush, Holstenius, they're both less than 20% energy. Less than 20%. Certainly going to have a difficult time and a tough call to make, as they will be running it fine right to the edge as we get into the final 15 minutes of the session. Race quickly.
The Rams in the pits also.
Ramsey's in. Bouquet's coming out. See, his Bordenini's currently sat on about 30%. Grossi as well. Will that be enough, or are they going to be heading in as well? I don't know. But in less than 10% now.
Yeah, they will have to come in for one last pit stop to grab some fuel. That's not going to be enough for the rest of the race.
There's a quick juice. They'll have to go for a quick top up.
Yeah, Splash and Dash coming up.
You said it best. Splash and Dash coming in hot. Final hours, final moments. Gonna be a tight call. And I think Butsin's enjoying his time in the sun before he inevitably has to head in. Okay, running it right to the edge in terms of virtual energy. Well, in his lane, happy, undisturbed.
Flourishing.
Flourishing.
Moisturized.
Thank you, I was hoping you get that.
Yeah, yes, I have been to the internet time or two in my life.
But
it's off there a bit.
I mean, it encapsulates Butsin right now pretty perfectly. He's marching to his own drum, as it was. He knows that he will have to relinquish the position, but while he's in it, make the most of it. Have a bit of free breathing air. He's actually used it to great effect too. He's made up a lot of time on his race. That is certainly going to pay him dividends in the final standings. Checking in with a couple of other cars on the hyper side.
Yep.
We're going to see Pocosi now coming in hot on Holstenius' position. So remember, the top 3 still have to pit in one more time, and I think that most of the others are done in terms of stops now. Pocosi very much on the hunt. You can see Kerner just behind in the Peugeot, but Lecona being a couple of laps down, meaning that he is currently in 11th in the hypercar standings. Not the time he's going to be able to make up by the end of the race. His just priority is bringing it home, running it clean.
Grab the points you can and don't break the car.
See, there is... Say, Patouche has just gone in. I believe that is also Holstenius. Yep, that's the Porsche now just heading in. Butzin is going for one more lap, and just curiosity. Oh, wait, hang on. So he's out in front, but he's jumped up from less than 10% to now 37% energy. I'm a little bit confused on the data it's giving me here.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
I have pitted earlier and it just hadn't updated the figures.
Yeah, I did. People who did beat that around 10:30 mark or so.
Either way, Butzin is going to be holding on to position, and now Pocosi is on the hunt. 8.1 seconds and counting. Although he seems to be making a very quick charge. Butzin's actually running quite slow, or at least the last couple of sectors haven't quite been on pace.
Could be the tires have given all they got to give. They are tired, they want just to quit, boss.
Maybe so. Either way, Pocosi is coming in fairly hot, and he's, while not in proximity just yet, is certainly making up a lot of time at a rapid rate.
Yep. Nisbet into the pits, left on and out of the pits at the last 10 minutes of the race. So I think it was a two-stopper for the GT3s as well then.
Yeah, I mean...
There you have it, folks. If I say something about this game very authoritatively, you can assume the exact opposite to be true.
No, I mean, the very much is possible to run a one-stop, I think. You just have to be very careful and very conservative in terms of your driving style. I wouldn't put it at past. Oh, yeah. Looks like we have one of the Ferraris quickly going out wide, and that resulted in Bouquet having to take evasive action. So a bit of a wobble there as we come out of Variante Alto and into Ravazza. Regained his composure, but not his gap, as Holstenius has gained about half a second in that interval.
Ooh, we got Borgerson a bit off the track. I think he was a lap behind Nisbet there, and they just had a bit of a disagreement about the blue flags. But everyone's continuing, it's all good.
Yeah, that's a nice and sort of neatly controlled for the most part, as there occasionally can be a miscommunication on the course, but just as easily resolved. You can see here we go, that is going to be a bit of a hiccup through the chicane, being capitalised on by Bouquet. Holstenius and himself fighting quite hard through Tosa and coming out of Villeneuve chicane. Let's see if these two keep up the pressure as we now head through Piratella. A little bit of gain time from the Porsche up ahead. Let's see if we can hold it together through Acqua Minerale.
Ohilal in the pits, Robert Burr out of the pits, so the top 3 GT3s all have had to have another pit stop right at the end. Ohilal also leaving the pits.
As I say, this is also the gap to get into the top 5. So Holstenius is currently holding 5th position. Bouquet wants in on that top brass, so certainly going to be fighting a little bit harder here. Very intent on getting that position. So teeing himself up for a chase into the first corner here of the circuit as we lap over one more time. 7 minutes on the clock, aka about 5 more laps to go here in Imola. closing in hot. Holstenius on the defensive. Bouquet has to tail off, break a little bit earlier just to avoid chaos erupting. Quick sweeps through. A little bit wide there for Bouquet as he comes out of the Tamburello chicane. Now into Villeneuve, closing in much hotter. Both of them encountering a little bit of a traffic issue. That's the number 92 Porsche. That's going to be Bergerson blocking the both. And giving Bouquet even more of a chance to close in on Holstenius as they are now sweeping through traffic just as much as they are swiping at each other's spot.
Six minutes left in the race. We will see if Alistair Ramsey has time to catch up those 3 seconds he's behind Uhilal. Man has been on a mission or race. Shot through the... Well, both of them have actually. They've shot through the rankings and raced hard.
Giving it 110%.
Yeah, they have.
Oh, we do see
Other battle
heading in. The fight has come to an abrupt end. We can focus on Bordenini and Schlichting instead, as they are going to continue that good fight on the track.
Yeah, the other fight I'm looking at is Borgerson's teaching. Borgerson's speed less than 3.5 seconds away from Franklin's BMW. We will see if 5 minutes is enough to shorten that gap.
And it's going to be a tight call. As much as he also needs to make up the gap, he also needs to... And oh, we see a quick moment here coming through. Schlichting, Bordenini coming to blows as they both make their way past Borgerson in the run-up to Tosa here, side by side, all the way through now into Piratella. There's going to be 3 wide, contact made. That is going to be Nisbet, caught in the crossfire of the hypercars. The both of them went side by side into where Nisbet was placing his Mustang, and unfortunately contact was made. So certainly not going to be happy after that one. Luckily no positions lost, but can you really argue that that matters?
Yeah, you would optimally try to keep the car from touching the other people's cars. Sometimes a bit of door banging is fine, but these are quite delicate, these things. You don't want to touch other cars.
Yeah, so keep it careful and be aware. So I'm not sure if the stewards might take a bit of a look at that one, because of course Nisbet was sort of caught unawares and unfortunately lost a lot of time there. Schlichting is still going to continue the charges. Bordenini is the one holding the lead in this duel. Going to be Schlichting going narrow here, briefly poking his nose to the inside as we go through Tamburello one more time. And it's going to be no success so far for the Ferrari, but he's not out for the count yet. Once again, pokes the nose in, tries to establish a bit of pressure as we now go through the second chicane of Villeneuve and into Tosa once more. Hopefully no chaos this time. Very wide run, trying to get a bit more speed on the exit here. Let's take it on board and see exactly what's going on from his perspective. Bit of a better run through Piratella. Although they are coming through to the battle you've now got currently on Eero's screen, which is just coming out of Aqua Minerale. 2 of them running very close. Going to be coming up to the chicane in Sector 2, going into Sector 3. 2 battles are going to converge very, very soon. A little bit nervous.
Oh yeah, I'm sweating this. This could be very, very dangerous. Very. Ooh, do we have Alistair making the move? Not quite yet. Hilal's got the inside, and Alistair's just 2 wheels off the ground. Not quite enough space there to make the move. But he sticks right back to that rear bumper. Here come the hypercars as well. Very wide. Alistair swings on the inside at the last moment.
We can see
Just a bit of rear end
both
slide there,
happening.
not quite enough.
happening on both perspectives at the same time. We have Baldinini and Schleeting trade places. Perfect parallel.
It's all going down, ladies and gentlemen, as this race draws towards its final moments. Drivers are giving all they have.
They're giving it absolutely everything they've got, and I'm 100% here for it.
Absolutely, this is breathtaking showing from these guys. They got the hypercars. I think Ramsey's made his escape. A bit of better exit through there and almost a second up ahead.
They're in the midst of all of this as well, so we check back over and we can see Pocosi has re-inherited the lead of the race, so not long overtook Butson coming out of this lap, and Butson is, I'll say, dropping down in terms of time. He's dropped about half a second a lap, and that's consistently ran through. But final lap here now starting as we tick off the final seconds here, and this is where it all sort of comes to a head. Any final battles, speak now or forever hold your tyres, as the timer has officially elapsed, meaning this is the final lap for definite. And now Pocosi is leading. A little bit of boxing from some traffic. I believe that is Robert Poor. Here we go. Pocosi's really done a good job, I think, this race. He's ran his own time. He deferred his strategy, differed his strategy compared to the others, but that has served him extremely well here. It's clear to see that has paid off massively. 5 seconds ahead of Butson, next closest car.
We have also the other fight happening now. Stiesing Bogerson, half a second apart. He did have the time to catch up. Well done, Seb. I think the Porsche has the advantage through the uphill here. We will see if... Ooh, just a bit too much gas, and he slides, and Steve jinks away. That was his chance, and now the chance has gone.
I'll say one falls, but another rises. Pocosi has crossed the line and is your winner here at Imola, here in the World Sprint Championship. Butson's going to be a firm and close second, with Bellucci now crossing the line to take third. Congratulations to those podium sitters in the hypercars. Then you come across, you have Timi Lehtonen now making his way through and just completing that final lap here. But what a showing as well. See,
dominant run from Timmy here.
Another great showing.
Absolutely.
Lehtonen,
well done, everyone.
Proving to be a force. They put in the pits in second. And then Alistair Ramsey, who's just gone into the pits. And annoyingly, that means we can't actually get an angle of his car. But everyone now showing just what they're made of, as we now make our way through final sector with our winner of the GT3s. Tiulao in 4th, Nisbet in 5th. Petushin Bouquet making 4th and 5th for the Hypers, but now crossing that line. There you go. Flash the lights in celebration.
Well deserved.
Well deserved indeed. Well earned for sure. Crossing the line. And there we have it, folks. Race is done.
Celebratory burnouts commencing.
There you go. It's our full result. So, Pocosi, Butsin, Bellucci is your podium for Hypercar, followed by Petushin Bouquet in the top 5. Fleeting, Holstenius, De Vries, Grossi, and Baldanini make your top 10 with a entry for 11th for Mark Ferdinand Kerner a few laps away. Letonen, Pur, and Ramsey make your podiums for the GT3s with Uhilal, Nisbet, Biddle, Stagink, and Borgeson completing your roster. Unfortunately, we didn't say to the end of the race to Mitchell Diaz, Jordan Forte, and Rui Alexander Borgso, but safe to say it was a great race ran by all. Now, we are going to quickly see if anyone is available for an interview. So going to do just winners tonight, see if they are available. So let's see. So Percosi, and we will see Letonen as well. So we always want to interview more people, but unfortunately a little bit of a crunch tonight. So we won't have a chance to interview as many people as we would like. But of course, if you're in the live chat right now, sort of voice who you think, who's your personal driver of, well, driver of the day, without wanting to sound too corny, but who would be your sort of personal sort of driver out there? You know, anyone that you were particularly impressed with out there tonight?
I was impressed with Uhilal's charge up the ranks and the battles with the other drivers going up there. He had done well for himself tonight, I think. Just barely didn't make it into the top 3 this time.
Yeah, well, I was, like we were saying, I was briefly like looking over and briefly seeing what was going on the GT3 side of the woods, and I was very impressed with Ramsey as well, but I can agree.
Absolutely.
Certainly,
Yes.
made just as much of a strong charge through, and certainly is deserving of that recognition. And for me, I have to really tip my cap to Butsin, to Marvin. There were points in the race where I was thinking with the strategy and how things were running, I wasn't seeing him anywhere near the podium. I thought that he was going to drop back. I think I even said at one point in the race that he's inevitably going to relinquish his position when he goes into the pits, but that didn't happen. He still held his position after the pits, and he fought to the bitter end, eventually scoring that second place. So he did do absolutely brilliantly, and I was wrong. I was very much wrong to sort of write that moment off, where he certainly had the pace and really impressed. So he's my sort of driver in the hypercar side of things. We are going to talk to Letonen, but we will hopefully see if Pocosi can join us later. We're going to drag Letonen in now. Letonen, can you hear us in the commentary box, mate? Just dragged you in.
Yep, I'm here. Hello.
Hello.
Well, first off, thank you for joining us. Second off, congratulations. A really strong race from yourself there. How were you feeling going into Imola tonight versus how you did?
Terrible actually. I don't know, I was supposed to practice yesterday. I didn't. I was supposed to practice today. I didn't. I did whatever, 10 laps in the practice before the race, but that's pretty much it. Just went with the feeling, and yeah, it turned out pretty great actually.
Wow.
You could definitely say that.
I'll be honest, I don't know what to say to that. Especially with that context in mind, it is even more impressive that you got the result out there today.
Yeah.
The result speaks for itself, but do you think anything in particular contributed to that win today?
I think if it was raining, it would have been very tough with Poor, because I know he didn't practice much on dry weather, and yeah, I have pretty much only driven this track on dry weather in ACC, so maybe that was my advantage, and I kind of got the jump on the start. So yeah, I don't know. great pace considering the amount of training. I was actually fighting with my webcam the whole day. I was trying to get the stream working. So yeah, happy with the win, and also got it on stream. So all good.
Oh, well done.
Very, very impressed. I mean, did you have a particular plan in terms of strategy heading into the race? I'm looking over at the chat, and I can see say a little bit of a a little bit of a comment. We say you and Poor. I mean, did you have a particular plan for strategy wise?
Nope, no whatsoever. No, I didn't have time to think of anything, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go into it, see what happens, and then at the start I made a good call on doing medium instead of wets because it was only ever so wet. So that was a big thing, and then I don't know, just good pace, and got a nice gap to Poor and the others, and it just kind of went with the flow, and that kind of worked out.
Yeah, well, certainly I'd say it worked out. Now, last question from me before I hand over to anything from Eero here. Bit of commentator napkin maths inbound, so the numbers may not be correct, but if I have done the numbers correctly, I think this result puts you very much closer to Poor in terms of the championship. So question is, are we going to see you in the lead of that championship? I mean, how confident are you feeling in future races?
More than today, probably. So yeah, possibly. It depends. I know I still have some way to go if Poor keeps getting P1 or 2 and then I'm 1 or 2, so you don't gain too much with that. But yeah, it's gonna be tough for the rest of the season. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you have some battles ahead of you, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's all from me. I mean, Eero, anything from you, my friend?
I have the usuals regarding to Imola. What's your favorite corner and what's your least favorite corner?
Least favorite is the chicane. There's nothing else to it. I still don't know. After winning the race, I still don't know how to actually drive through it. So, favorite probably the whole sector 1. I was pretty quick there, like turn 1, 2. They were pretty fun. I don't know why. They just feel quite nice. So,
yeah, it's a nice sector to drive through. All right. Thank you.
No worries.
And my congratulations for the win also, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, gonna let you go, mate. But let's say again, great result. And I mean, if things trend in the way that they are at the moment, we could potentially see you fighting for the title at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm fighting for it for sure already, but yeah.
Look forward to it.
We'll see how it ends up. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, will do. I'll see you guys next week. Same place, same time.
Yeah. You never know. Let's see about making it happen. Same time next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is up to you, my man.
Yeah, we'll see. What's the next track, anyways?
Le Mans.
No, never raced there, but I'll have more time to actually drive this time, so maybe.
I mean, if your track record's anything to go by with no practice,
Mm.
then it might be same time next week.
Yeah, could be.
Have a good rest of your evening, or well, whatever time zone it is, mate. I'll say, we'll let you go.
Yeah.
Well earned
Late
rest.
evening.
Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening, you guys too.
And there you go. That was Timmy Letonen. Now, we luckily do have Pocosi. Oh no, Pocosi's just disappeared from the... Literally, for folks, for context, we're in the GRDC Discord right now. and we have an interview waiting room. If you haven't joined in, by the way, join it. Please do. More the merrier. But it's literally as we're about to drag Pocosi in, he leaves the waiting room. So we'll give it a second in the hopes that he does join back in. But thoughts as we head on to Le Mans next week. We are now officially in the second half of the championship properly. So stage is set. Many drivers have made themselves known as forerunners, as front-running fighters in this championship so far. I mean, we look to Pocosi, Bellucci, Schlichting in the hypercar side, as we saw Butzin making a splash of a performance. He's going to potentially bring himself up into the fold, into that podium fight, although he's got a bit of a points gap to overcome. He's currently 26 points behind Schlichting in third, so we'll see if that can be overcome, and we'll see if he potentially proves to be a fight for the podium. We also have in the GT3s, as we were discussing, we had Letonen and Poor running very close in the championship standings. I think Moffat, I can see here he's left the season, so not sure what's going on there. But Nisbet could stand to gain from this. He could potentially put himself in the podium fight. I don't know if we're actually going to have I don't know actually if we're going to have Pocosi in. I can see he's active on the chat, but I think he has. I think he's sort of wasted his time, and he's not going to be coming back in there. So we are going to wrap things up here, folks. Unfortunately, we'd love to interview more drivers, but we are sadly on a bit of a time crunch for this broadcast. So I want to thank you everyone for watching and being a great audience as always. And to all the drivers, whether you are, say, joining us on the track, or if you weren't able to make this round, or if you retired out. I see we did have a comment from Diaz asking where the rain was. But they will hopefully see you all same time next week, very soon, as we are going to be headed to Le Mans. And it's going to be a good one, because track never fails to disappoint. But we'll see you all then, folks. Thank you very much, and take care. Goodbye.
Thank you from me as well, and goodbye and good night, folks.